of work. I've seen so many of them, but I've read them though. I've read some, and I'm quite impressed with what I'm seeing. All the same, we will discuss our corrections, our general corrections in the class. I've read them though. I've read some. Yes, so let's get it done with. All right, if you are watching us on YouTube, my name is Joy Agagwu, and I am the IELTS tutor for overseas nurses. Just trying to see how we can help ourselves get used to the system, the way it works, and all of that, so you can write your IELTS once. Just to let you know a brief of what happened the last time we had our lesson. The class was on, and suddenly the account was hacked by someone, and he started changing names and chatting in people's names and all of that. We've taken care of that. And for those of you that will keep saying they can't log in, yet you won't sort it before the day of the lesson. It's once the lesson is about to start that you start shouting, you can't log in, you can't do this, we should send you login. We've been trying to share links. Probably that's what happened. The person came in through one of the links that was shared. So for now, I don't think we're going to share any link. If the class is on, the class is on. We will not share the link of the class for anybody to join us if you don't have the login details. That is a way for us to checkmate who comes in into the class and who does not have access to join us in class. So that said, we are sorry. And yes, so today is going to be a repeat of last week's class, or the last class that we had. And just to let you know, we are still talking on writing task 1. Generally, writing task 1 is where you have to write a report, all right? You have to write a report, and then there are certain things that are expected of you, and until you keep to that, you may not be able to make the kind of marks or band that you desire. Generally, the writing task 1 is designed to test your ability to explain information that is shown to you. This information could come in form of a process graph, a process diagram, a flow chart. It can be a line graph, maybe a bar chart, a pie chart, a table, a map, or a floor map. Whatever it is, you must present the information in your own words as complete sentences within paragraphs. And then there are certain things that are expected of you, and these things are called the band descriptors that you must follow so that you score a good band. You are required to write over 150 words, and the task should be completed within 20 minutes. So task 1 and task 2 is for 1 hour. Task 1 is 20 minutes, task 2 is 40 minutes. You are not asked to give any opinions, okay? You are not asked to make assumptions or for you to draw conclusions about the information that you are given. So you are always advised to spend 20 minutes on the task and to write at least 150 words. In addition, I like you to summarize the information as much as possible. When they say you should make comparisons, be very careful with your comparisons. The thing is, as you discuss along, you're talking about one thing, you're talking at the other, you're already making comparisons. So it's not like you're going to have a special paragraph where you say, okay, it's now time for me to make comparisons. Having said that, I said that there are grading criteria, all right, things that they use, descriptors, all right, components, what they look for them to rate you, for them to give you your band. These are called band descriptors. The first one is task achievement. Task achievement has to do with your number of words, okay? It requires you to write over 150 words. It requires you to satisfy all the requirements of the task, all right? And then you should introduce the task where you have your rephrase, give a summary of the key features and highlight the key features. For me to say that you have completed the task, for your task achievement to be, the score to be adequate and to be what it ought to be, you should have written following the structure of the writing task 1. And the structure is such that we have 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph is like an introduction, the introduction of the task, all right, where we say that it is a rephrase. a rephrase, paraphrase of the question prompt that you're given, and then an overall statement. Joined together will give you your first paragraph, which is an introduction, and then the second paragraph and the third paragraph will be depending on the kind of information that you are given. For instance, if you are given two maps, I will say that in your first paragraph you discuss one map, in your second paragraph you discuss the other map. If you are given two diagrams, pick one, then the other. If you are given a map where you have two variables, maybe A and B, choose one of the paragraphs to discuss about A, then go and discuss the second one, which is the B in your second paragraph. Do not mix up everything because it makes the work really clumsy. And at the end of the day, if you do that, you may not get the correct mark for your coherence, because if your examiner cannot understand what you have written, you lose mark for your coherence and cohesion. This will take me to coherence and cohesion, where it's dealing with your ideas, all right, the sequence of your information and how logical your ideas are, how you have presented them, your use of paraphrasing appropriately. Make sure that there's a clear progression within your work where you move from A to B to C to D. Not like you are rigmaroling, you're moving up and down, giving information in between, and at the end of the day your work is scattered. Use a range of cohesive devices as well, as appropriate as possible, where you have all the linking words, the however, the therefore, consequently, subsequently, depending on the kind of task that you are given. All right. If you are given a graph, the cohesive devices that I expect you to use will be different from what you should use when you're given a process graph or a process chart. All right. When you have a map, there are specific cohesive devices that are to them. Although there are some general ones in between, like however, although, and all of that, but there are some specific ones to this particular questions that the examiner should be able to find a few of them within your paragraphs for you to score the adequate bands. Okay. So having said that, we will be talking about lexical resource. Lexical resource has to do with your vocabularies, all right? Where you show me a range of vocabulary, that's where you have other words that can replace your words and all of that. Use of adverbs and adjectives to show your precision, to show how much of the understanding of this that you have. The awareness of your style and collocation of your work, how you have arranged your work, all right? How you use some very uncommon lexical items, like words that are not commonly used but are used appropriately. That's the reason why you need to have words that are related. Okay, look for synonyms that are very, very related to the particular item that you're writing on, whether it is a graph or a map or a process chart. Avoiding spelling errors has to come under lexical resource, and then your choice of words as well. If you commit so many spelling errors, that will definitely reduce your total score. Also, we have the grammatical range and accuracy, where we'll be talking about your sentence formation. Okay, advice that we should use a mixture of sentences, that is the simple and the complex sentences. We have simple, compound, and complex sentences. Please make use of the simple and complex sentences more. Produce error-free sentences as much as possible and avoid grammatical errors. Avoid errors with grammar and punctuations, where you're supposed to have a comma, let it not be a full stop, where you're supposed to have an inverted comma, or where you're supposed to have a continuation mark or something. It should be what it should be. At the end of the day, you will get your mark if you follow the grammar rules. There are different types of task one that you will find, and we have started discussing some of them already. Today, we are going to be talking about the process graph, all right? The process chart, the process graph, or whatever. It is a process, all right? The one that has to do with moving from one stage to the other. That's what we will be discussing today. I just gave us a background of what we're looking for so that you are not lost, okay? So that you are not lost. All right, so process graph. we're talking about the process graph. Generally, I've told us about the structure of the writing task one, where we have um task. We have your first paragraph, second paragraph, and your third paragraph. All right. So if we have a process graph, what does it mean? What is a process graph? A process graph or a process chart is like is a part of IELTS task one question that is designed to test your ability to compare and to contrast information in a flow, to explain the stages that are involved in something. Here, you are also required to write over 150 words, and the task should be completed in 20 minutes. No matter how hard the question of task one is, it does not take more time than 20 minutes. All right? Are we understanding at all? Yes, we are understanding. That's good. So yes, I was talking about the process graph, and I was trying to give us like a breakdown of what it is before we write. All right. Here, you need to be very careful because every article, every countable noun will need an article. Like the and, the are, and the the. You need to be very careful. The use of passive sentences, that is, where the sentences starts with the object and the subject of a sentence, is often very much missed out. So we need to be very careful, okay? So where there is a process that is ongoing, what are you expected to do? In describing a process graph, there's a language, okay, that we use in describing a process graph. Now, remember that there are steps of a process graph. There are steps, different steps are involved in a process graph. So words like phrases like the first step, if you want to start writing, the first step in the process is, or the first stage is, or the process starts with, or begins with, or commences with. Those are the kind of phrases that you can use from to start your second paragraph. That is to start the explanation of the processes. Now, when you want to talk about steps that are following them or subsequent steps, you can say subsequently, you can say after this, you can say next to this step is, you can say things like in the following stage or stages or following these. These are phrases that you can use. Then in your final step, you can say things like the final steps are, or the process finishes with, or the process concludes with, or the last step in the process is. So if, for instance, you are describing, maybe there have been an arrangement like an organogram, and they are asking you, they're expecting you to describe like that organogram. You know that things are beneath each other, yeah? So if the objects, okay, or the things, the processes are beneath each other, you know what word to use. If they are beside each other, you know what to do. If they are next to each other, maybe along the same side, okay, alongside each other, or underneath, or above, or in the middle of, on the right side of, or on the left side of, or you're talking about something procedure or processes that are adjacent each other, or sometimes processes that are equidistant from each other, when they are not too far but they are equally, like they are on both sides but they are far from each other. You need to know what word to use for them. It depends. If you're talking about purposes, in order to, for instance, if I'm making coffee and I had to boil water and put the coffee like the powder itself in the water in order to make my coffee, you can use that word in order to, or so as to get, you know. Or sometimes when you are talking about why these two processes happen, then eventually what will come out of it. So that word eventually, or when you are talking about two things that has happened and then as a result of those two things that happen, there is now a consequent action or step, you can use the word consequently. So you need to know what word fit in into what situation that you are describing at the time. Now, when you have a process graph, what are the steps that you are going to follow? What are the steps? First of all, you need to read the question, okay, and the process diagram, then underline your keywords. When you underline the keywords, you paraphrase the keywords where they are possible, where it is possible. Then, in the process itself, you look for any unlabeled process and you name it yourself, okay? Look for any unlabeled process and name it if there's anyone there that does not have a name. Look for a logical start point. I was explaining this last week, and I said that it depends on how many steps that you have, the number of steps that you have in your process. If, for instance, you have 10 steps, it's easy. You can divide into 5 on both sides. Yeah. So you need to identify a logical start point. So if I start from the first step and then end on the second step, on the fifth step, that will make my body paragraph 1 or my second paragraph. All right. Remember, you're writing an overview. So if I start from the 6th step up to the 10th step, that will be my second paragraph on the process, which is my 3rd paragraph all in all. You need to identify what information you should group. It's called grouping. So you group what information should come first and what information should come next to it. So you look for a logical start point, you look for a logical end point as well. You number steps in the process to make sure that you do not miss out of any of the steps when you write your report. So if you like, you can just take your pencil and write number 1, number 2, number 3 on all of them, so that you ensure that you have not missed out any step, all right, in your anxiety or in your, in your hurry, you're in a hurry to finish the task. So you should not hurry to finish the task, and then you will not be able to write on all of them. Now, what do you do after you have done this? You go ahead and write your report. And finally, create time, even if it's 1-2 minutes, to proofread your work. Because if you don't proofread your work, your mistakes will not be corrected. When you get the time to proofread your work, you can correct your spellings, you cross your T's and you dot your I's, where you are supposed to put the commas, you recognize where they should be, and you are able to do all of that. And then you correct your spellings as well. Not just about the punctuations, but you correct your spellings as well. So structuring the writing task 1 process graph, what do? You rephrase the question, then you give an overall summary of the process. Okay. In your overall summary of the process, mention the number of steps, the number of materials you used if possible, the amount of equipment depending on what you are doing. Okay, depending on what question you see. So if there are 10 steps, overall, there are about 10 steps. So what are these steps? You're not going to mention number 1, 2, 3, and 4. No, you will say beginning from this step and ending with this step. Overall, there are about 10 steps in the production or in the disposal or in the whatever the question that you have before you is. Whatever number of steps that you have, you mention it, okay? So you mention the number of steps, quoting the first step, beginning with that step, and then ending with the last step. You need to mention that. It shows that you understand what you're doing and you are up to date with your work. Then how about the body? When you have written an introduction, like when you are writing an introduction in your writing task 1, it is more like you're writing your overall statement. That's a big part of it. After you have paraphrased the question, looks more like you are giving a summary already. Meanwhile, in writing task 2, your conclusion comes last, but it looks like you are giving a conclusion in your overall statement already from the beginning. That's the way it is. All right. So when you get to your overview, after you have done the introduction, that's the body now. What do you write? Ensure that you write about every stage of the process. If they are less than, if they are about 9 and it's odd number, you must have had a logical start point and the number of steps that you want to write about in the first paragraph. That's in the second paragraph now, in the first body paragraph, if I can use that word. And then there are the number of steps that you have chosen to write about in the second part of it. So you need to write about every step. Do not miss out on any step, even if it's just a sentence about it. Ensure that you write something about it and you link them up with the right phrase using the right cohesive device to show precision and understanding of your work. That way, you are showing your examiner that you know what you are doing. And if you do that, it shows that there's a progression between your work. And that's why I suggested that you should list the number of steps so that you know that from number 1, I'm going to number 2, from number 2, I'm going to number 3, from number 3, I'm going to number 4, until all of that is done. Please let the number of words not be more than 180, and at least they said it should not be less than 150, but don't make it 150 on the dot, please. At least let's say 160. All right, so 180, 160 should be your borderlines for both up and down. Okay, we had an assignment last week that we were working on, and eventually we made it a classwork. That was the production of meat pie. Before we go into that assignment, I have finished explaining the the process task, all right? So does anyone have any question, any area of confusion about the process task? Does anyone have any question about the process task? Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. I have a question, ma'am.
Yes.
Go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, ma'am. You said under the steps that we should look for any unlabeled process and name it by ourselves. I want to ask, ma'am, is there any possibility of mislabeling or something like that?
I don't think so, as long as it's connected to what you are writing.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Give it a name. Just give it a name, all right? Uchenaya, welcome back to the class. Okay, so that's the only
Thank you,
question that we
ma'am.
have, right? You're welcome. If that's the only question that we have, we will go to do the work. And in doing that, I'm already making your correction. Many of you, the places you made your mistakes were, for many, it was you got the structure correctly, which is an improvement and a good thing, all right? The structure is correct, but you need to improve on your grammar. Many of us, it's just the grammar that is the problem. Grammar. And you know, I can't do that for you. You need to learn to do it for yourself. You need to learn to do it for yourself. When you write, create the time to go through what you have written. That way you will see whether your English, your grammar is correct or is not correct. I told us to download on our phone like Microsoft Word because it helps you to correct your grammar. Or if you can go to your Play Store, depending on what phone you are using, go to your store and find out like English apps that can help you, all right, with correcting your grammar. There should be apps like that so that when you make a mistake, you will know you have made a mistake and you can correct it. Having said that, if there's no other question, then we move over to that task that we did last week. Let me open it on the system. All right, so let's look for it.
Sorry, ma. I'm late in the class. I just noticed that the class just started around 7:30, so I queued in. Please, ma. The previous task you gave, I did it, but we are yet to vet it.
I've
About
not
2 or 3. Ma?
I've not vetted all of that work, so maybe your own is among the ones that I've not vetted.
Yes, you have not vetted it. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So I've not completed the vetting. Maybe your own is among the ones that I've not vetted.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so let's discuss the fish making. Fish pie, production of fish pie. Okay. Need to share my screen. Can you all see my screen now? Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma.
Good. So we have how many steps? Did the work? How many steps do we have in the whole of this process?
About 16.
17.
About 16 steps.
Okay.
I think 17.
Okay. Where does the process start?
From tomato, potato,
From where?
from delivery of potato.
From where?
When the van delivered the potatoes that were gathered for about 1 month.
Okay, so the van brings in the potatoes. The potatoes undergo cleaning, right? And then
Yes.
it is peeled and sliced, then boiled and allowed to cool. After that, it is stored, isn't it?
It is.
Good. Then what happens here? The fish salmon, okay, lemon juice is added to the fresh salmon. Then salt is added as well. And then it is steamed over the oven. Steamed in the oven. And then manpower removes what?
The skin from the
And the
bones.
bones. Then someone else inspects it to ensure that it is clean and ready for use. After that, there is the addition of peas just for them to prepare the
Sauce.
whatever.
Sauce.
The prepared sauce is added to it as well. Remember that here, from up here, they had made sauce from what? Peas, sauce added,
Potatoes.
peas, potato. So here now, they are going to add the prepared sauce to it. And then from the potato that we saved, that we stored here, they now bring it and add it to what? Add it
To the sauce.
good.
Add the
To
sauce.
the
What do
prepared
they now?
sauce.
Someone else now wraps it. And then it is transported to be frozen. And from there, it is sent to where stores further dispatched to the consumers. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Yes.
You understand? Sometimes you may not say there are 18 steps. You can say there are about 18 steps. Do you understand?
Yes,
because
ma'am.
you cannot be too definite. Now there's a van here. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to count this van, it will be 19. So there are about 18 steps. It means that you're not sure, but it's about that range, and nobody is going to penalize you. So what do we have? What was the question? Somebody read out the question to us. Please be fast. We have work to do. We have work tonight. There's another one coming up.
The diagram below
Give
is an illustration of the steps involved in the making of fish pie. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparison where relevant.
Thank you. So what do we have? What are our keywords?
Hey, yo.
What are our keywords?
Illustration.
Illustration, steps,
Sorry. What are our keywords? Start.
illustration, steps.
So what happens to the diagram?
The
That is why
diagram.
I'm talking about your issue with cohesion. When you don't start from the first step, you start missing it. You don't have to rigmarole going up and down, all right? Do you understand?
Okay.
Good.
Yes, ma'am.
So you start from the beginning. We have diagram, we have below, we have illustration, okay? Then we have what? Steps, involved,
Introduction.
we have making. Yeah?
Yes.
So if we have, how do you want to paraphrase this work? Chiamaka, Lucy. Paraphrase this for me.
The process graph or the process chart shows shows stages involving production of fish pie. I can't see the question. I'm just paraphrasing with
You
my.
should have the question. You are in class. Somebody just read this question to us now.
There's no light here.
Now. Somebody just read this question now as we are in this class. So that you don't have any excuse. You don't have any excuse, and that's the truth. Give me a second. I need to take somebody out of this class. Gradually, we'll get there. We'll be able to sanitize the house. Okay? So, Chiamaka, is it Chiamaka? You don't have any excuse.
Check my box.
Omolola, paraphrase this for me.
The process charts depict the stages associated with the production of fish pie. Overall, there are about 18 steps. There are about 18 steps. The first step in the process involves the delivery of the tubers of potato by a van to the factory.
You don't have to tell me the first stage of. So if there are about 18 steps, beginning with or starting from, or beginning with the delivery of potatoes to the store, all right? Or starting with the delivery of potatoes, okay, and ending with the freezing, with the dispatch of the already made fish pie for further transportation to the consumers. That's all.
To the consumer. Yes, ma'am.
Don't speak all that long English. Not going to help you. So
Yes,
there are about 18 steps, beginning with or starting with and ending with. Yeah, so that's all.
okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So the whole process starts from the time that the gathered or the collected potatoes are delivered to the store, to the industry, okay, until the time that the already made fish pie is transported or dispatched to the stores and to consumers. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Then where you are telling me the steps associated with, there's nothing like associated with. In this case, it is not an associated issue. It is the stages, the steps that are involved, the stages that you follow, the steps that you follow, to produce fish pie. Okay, the processes, the stages in the manufacturing of fish pie. Overall, there are about 18 steps in this process, beginning from the time of the delivery of potatoes to the store until the made fish pie is dispatched to the consumers or to stores. Full stop. That is your first paragraph. Then if I'm writing, Uchenna, now we have 18 steps. All right? We have 18 steps. So going by what we said that you should have a logical start point, a logical midpoint, and a logical end point, which means that your start point and your midpoint will be where you will get your first body paragraph, which is paragraph 2, and then from the midpoint to the last is where you will get your other paragraph. So what do you have to say about this? Can you explain or give me like a statement for the first part of this question?
Okay, I will say that the potatoes are being delivered to the store where they got cleaned and then peeled before they will be sliced into different sizes and shapes, then put in for boiling, after which they will be allowed to chill or cool down before taken to the store.
I need some cohesive devices in between.
Okay.
I saw you have used
The
after
potatoes,
which, so you need to like tell me the way you will write it, like it makes sense.
okay. The potatoes are being supplied.
Remember that sorry to cut you short. Remember that at the beginning of this class, I did tell us the phrases to start with, didn't I?
Yes, we did.
I mentioned the phrases that you can start your explanation with, the sequencers. I mentioned them.
Yes. Okay, to begin with, the potatoes are being delivered where they got cleaned, washed and cleaned. Subsequently, they were peeled and got sliced before getting boiled after being sliced into different shapes. After the boiling, they were kept to get cold. Then they will be taken to where they go to the store to freeze them, to get them stored before the other processes will be carried out.
You try. Well done. The first stage in the production of meat pie or in the manufacturing of meat pie is the delivery of the potatoes to the industry. Full stop. These potatoes are then cleaned and peeled. Thereafter, it is sliced into smaller pieces to be boiled. Consequently, the boiled potatoes is allowed to cool, then stored in the store, awaiting the next step. Simple. Now, count what I have said. How many cohesive devices can you find? And that is a sentence. I mean, that's a paragraph. I did not, it's not compulsory that you must write boil, chill, slice, peeled. It's not compulsory you must write it the way they have written it. If you notice, I used them boiled instead of boil. So you need to use these words the way they fit into your sentences. Do you understand? Not
Yes,
that potato is delivered to the industry, then clean. After that, they peel it, then they slice it, and then boil it, and then allow it to cool or to chill. These sentences are too short, so I need you to put some things in between them to make it complex sentences that will fetch you good marks. And I told us a couple of minutes ago that there are words that you can use, isn't it? I told us the words that we can use, the kind of words that we can use. Let me look for some. The sequencers. Where are the sequencers? Let me see. I find them. So that if you want to take a screen grab, you can take a screen grab. The problem we have is that we don't listen to instruction. Now, take a look at this. For your beginning, use any of this. The beginning of your write-up. The beginning of your write-up, you should use any of these words, any of these phrases. 1, 2, 3, 4. The first step in the process is the delivery of potatoes, or you can say the first stage in the process. You can say the process begins with the delivery. Understand? Now, correction. If I ask you to write this thing now, some of you go and look for phrases from where I don't know. Whether you are trying to impress me or you are trying to impress the examiner, I don't know. Why don't you use the ones that they are giving you that is so simple? It makes it simple for you. Remember that nobody is going to say that Chinwe has written the same thing with Chiamaka. Nobody is going to say that. If all of us in this class decide to say the first step in the process is nobody will penalize us. It's not an exam where you can cheat before they will say, they have copied themselves. Now, when you have finished, you see, these are the sequencers, see them. You heard me use after this. You heard me use consequently. So if you have said the first step is, let me see, where is it? Where's our question again? The first step is delivery of potatoes. Then is delivery of potatoes to the industry, which is now cleaned, which is then cleaned and peeled. Thereafter, it is sliced into smaller bits or pieces to proceed for boiling. After boiling the small pieces of potatoes, it is allowed to cool, okay, and subsequently sent to the store to wait for the next stage. Then my next paragraph, following this, all right, I have the preparation of the fresh salmon, okay, where this fresh salmon, lemon juice and salt are added to the fresh salmon. You see that I've used these two stages. I'm making a sentence with the two stages. I'm not saying that lemon juice is added, salt is added. No. The addition of lemon juice and salt to the fresh salmon, then it is cooked in the oven or steamed in the oven. Following this, humans, okay, or laborers, several laborers remove the skin and the bones from the fish. Then another inspects it to ensure that it is good or it is correctly done. Thereafter, peas and prepared sauce are added to the inspected salmon. This is kept aside. And I put a full stop or something. And I continue to say that at this stage, the potatoes is now added to the prepared salmon and then wrapped by humans or wrapped by laborers who now freeze them from where it is transferred for dispatch into stores or for human consumption. You are finished. You have finished writing. We divided it into two at this stage. We got a logical start point and we got a logical end point here. And we got a midpoint. So our first paragraph started from our logical start point to the midpoint, ensuring that all the steps involved here are covered. And then we move to the next stage where we started again with the fresh salmon, okay, that is prepared and steamed and inspected. The bones are taken out, all right, and then mixed with peas and then prepared sauce. Then with the potatoes, it is wrapped, then stored in the fridge. From there, it is dispatched. You can now dispatch it to the stores. You are finished writing. Is anybody confused?
Excuse me, ma.
Yes, go ahead.
What about this time that they wrote there, 12 hours or less? You don't have
Where
to
is
write
it
anything
following?
about
You may
the
not.
first,
What is this
okay.
one doing?
It's
Delivery.
just telling, yes, the delivery.
What did it deliver?
The time they deliver the potato to the industries takes up to 1 month. Then the time they deliver the salmon.
So you can mention them. Okay.
Okay.
All in all, I just want you to ensure that you pick up all of these stages, get a point to write about them, the points that you want to, like from this point to this point is where I want to write, then from this point to this point is where I want to write. And then you have a summary of all of them together. At the end of the day, your words should not be less than 150. Understood? Do we understand? So those
Yes,
of us
ma'am.
that did the assignment, did you do anything like this? Did you do a similar thing? Omolola, let me catch somebody.
I didn't write the overall.
Good. So will you score a good mark if you did not write overall?
No, I won't, ma.
Okay. Chinwe, who was saying that I have not marked her work?
It's me, ma.
Okechi.
Yes.
So, did you write what I've just explained?
Something similar, but not exactly.
You wrote something similar and you covered all of the information.
Yes, actually, I counted about 16 stages, not 18.
But do you agree that we have about 18 stages?
Yes,
So have you
from the
covered all
counting.
of the stages?
Ma?
Having known now that there are about 18 stages, not 16 stages, have you covered all of the stages?
From your explanations now, yes. But
Having known that we're about 18 stages and you have identified 16, have you covered all of the stages?
yes, I think I covered all.
How did
Just
you
go
cover
through.
all of the stages when you have less stages than we have? Tell me.
Actually, I didn't take note of the stores.
So you didn't write
When I was,
about it?
but I wrote that it was dispatched for final consumption.
So where did you get the dispatch from final consumption from when you did not take note of where it is being dispatched from? And you didn't take note of the stores. So you have missed that stage. Is that what you're saying? You didn't take note of this story. Did you write about it?
Ma?
Did you write about this stage?
About the stores?
You didn't write about it.
I did not include I think I didn't include the stores. But
If you did not include it, now, wait, listen. You did not include it. Okay. And you said you have written, so with what you have written now, do you think that you will get the full mark for this work?
No, ma, I didn't say I will get it. That's why
That's
I
just what
say
I want
that.
to know.
That's
That's just
why
what I want to know. Forget
I said no.
all that explanation of, that's just what I want to know. It's just a test. Okay, it's just a test. You have not written all of the stages. You have counted 16 instead of 18 or even more. And you are now, and I asked you that having known what you know now, do you think you have written? And you said yes. Meanwhile, you have missed out some steps. So yes, you have missed out some steps, but what you wrote, maybe depending on the information you are carrying, may be worth giving you your band, a band that will be okay, but not the full band. Okay.
Yeah.
It may be worth it depending on what you have written. So let's see how it goes.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Yeah.
good. So we have done this one. Is anybody confused about this particular task? Chiamaka.
No, ma.
Okay, now explain the whole of this step according to what we just did. From the beginning to the end.
The the process graph shows stages involved in production of fish pie. Overall, it involved about 18 steps, starting from supplying of to dispatching of the by the consumers. Then the first paragraph. Should I continue?
I thought I said that you should tell us everything from beginning to end. So if it's, have you finished from beginning to end?
Okay, to begin with the first stage, the van it took months for the van to distribute potato to the industry. Thereafter, cleaned,
Okay.
then peeled and sliced into small pieces. Subsequently, it was boiled and allowed to cool. And then it was stored. Then to the next paragraph, that's it took the val about 12 hours or less to distribute the fresh salmon. At this point, lemon juice and salt was added, and then steam ovened. Full stop. Rebellers. Okay, several laborers removed the skin and bones of the fresh salmon. Another inspects it. There are peas and uh, prepared sauce was added. At this point, they stored potatoes and was added to the sauce. And it was wrapped by another laborer. After that, it was frozen, then dispatched.
Good, you tried. But now tell me, you started off with a first person singular. At the end of the day, you started with what I don't understand. Now, you started with it will be delivered, okay? It will be delivered. Potatoes will be delivered and then cleaned and peeled and all of that process until it is stored. And then you now started with fresh salmon, it was. It will and it was. You are contradicting yourself. All right. So it's either you decide to write this statement as per past tense or future tense or present tense. You need to choose what tenses you are going to be using because at the end of the day, there will be grammatical error in what you're writing. Do you understand? So peeled and cleaned,
Yes,
I think it is more of past tense. You're explaining what has happened in this paragraph.
okay.
All right.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
if you are going to be using present tense, you can start with, it begins with the delivery of potatoes to the industry, then the cleaning stage. After that, there is the peeling of. Do you understand? So you now continue with like present tense or present continuous.
Okay.
We have gone into tenses now. Before Omotola will say she does not understand, I should start from the beginning. I'm not ready to start from the beginning.
Okay, I understand. Thank you, ma'am.
So you understand. The good thing is that you were able to mention like virtually all the stages and you were able to write something about them, but you need to work on your grammar, all right, and your cohesive devices. Now I see that there's a cohesion between your work because you were able to move from one stage to the other and you captured all of the information that I wanted. But your grammar, you need to improve on your grammar. All right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Chinwe. Chinwe, it's your turn. From beginning to the end. Can we limit the
Okay,
noise in
ma.
the
This,
background?
yes, ma. Makwa.
What you do? Okay, now you can go ahead since you have settled them.
Okay, but sorry about that. Ma.
No worry.
The process graph beneath shows the
Network, huh? Network has started. Can anyone hear her? Because I can't hear her.
Yeah, hearing you, ma.
But we can't hear her.
No, ma.
Yeah, I think it's our network. Who has not spoken in this class?
delivery of potatoes and sorry, ma. There was a network issue.
Yeah, I know.
The process begins with delivery of potatoes, followed by cleaning of the potatoes, after which they are peeled and sliced into desired shape and boiled. After boiling, they are allowed to cool down and thereafter stored in a container. That's my second paragraph. Following this, the sauce is then prepared and the peas are added after inspection. The bones and skins is then removed from the fresh salmon by the laborers. Lemon juice and salt is added before steaming the fresh salmon in an oven. Then it is mixed with peas and the prepared sauce. Thereafter, it is wrapped and freezed before sending it to the dispatch for delivery to the final consumer.
How did you go your own way round? See what you did. You came like this. You started from here and you went this way. You were supposed to go like
Okay.
this, then like this. It means that you have not even understood what we have been explaining about the second paragraph. Because you just simply went this way instead of coming from the other side. Can you see this arrow? So this arrow shows that it starts like this. Lemon juice is added to the fresh salmon with salt, and then that fresh salmon will now steam it. Then the bones are removed. But you are removing bone before you steam the fresh salmon. I don't get it. You are distracted, Abby. It's fine. But please don't make that mistake in the exam. All right? Does anyone have any question about this process? We'll do the other example that we have in this class and then we can close. Does anyone have any other thing to ask?
Yes, please. I want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Like in starting this the first paragraph, is it good to indicate as in the diagram below, the word below? Is it good to mention it or write it down like that?
I'm confused.
As in, like if I starting this, paraphrasing this question now, then I start by saying, writing that the diagram below gives information, as in that word below. Is it wise to add it while writing on task
In the
one
question, there is
essay?
the diagram below. The question says the diagram below, and I don't expect you to use the diagram below anymore. The given diagram is fine. The given picture is fine. The given whatever is fine, but don't give me the same word. That's the reason why it is called paraphrasing, where you write the same information using different words without changing the meaning of the statement. And that's the place of paraphrasing, the place of the use of your synonyms. So you need to familiarize yourself with words that can replace diagram for you. All right? So if I ask you now to give me 5 synonyms of diagram, can you give me?
Okay. Can say pictures, diagram,
The drawing,
pictures, images, drawing,
illustration. The given
illustration.
illustration gives information about the stages or the processes involved in the making of fish pie. All right. Now, I want to note something here, that in that diagram, if you look very well, you'll find out that there is a microwave something on the microwave, where we have peas, we have the salmon, we have let me look for it.
Yes, it's on top of the diagram.
So share screen. Let's see this. Share. This thing here, microwavable container, that all these things are inside. All right. So what are these things? From what we have read here, what are these things? They are the major ingredients or materials that are needed for the production of fish pie, isn't it? The fish is there, the potatoes are there, then the sauce is, everything is inside, and then the peas, isn't it? So yes, in your introduction, which is your paraphrase and all that, in your overall statement, it will be good if you can include this, that overall there are about 18 stages in the production of fish pie, beginning from the delivery of the potatoes to the industry and ending with the dispatch of the prepared meat pie to consumers and stores, with major ingredients of what? Peas, sauce, fish, and potato. So it will be good if you can mention this in your overall statement. All right. In case you see another diagram, you see anything like this, please try and create a place for this thing to enter into it. All right. And it's not always that you will find it, but if you do find it, create somewhere where this can come in, so you'll be on the safe side. Then it means that you have also mentioned it, because you're talking about the whole diagram. Do you understand my point? You do understand my point. That's good. So if you ask me now, with that in mind, you ask me to give you or to talk about this thing, let's summarily the diagram that we had. I will say that the given diagram is an illustration, okay, of the stages that are involved, or the steps to be followed in the production of fish pie. Overall, there are about 18 stages, beginning from the delivery of potatoes, okay, to the industry, and terminating or ending with the dispatch of the made or prepared fish pie to the consumers and to stores. with the main ingredients of fresh salmon, peas and sauce with sliced potatoes. I'll start with the first one. The first stage in this process is the delivery of what? Potatoes. And then you do all your writing and writing and writing. Consequently, or followed by, after this, it can be your next one. It can be the next phrase you want to use for the last paragraph. So ensure overall that you have covered everything, all right? Ensure that you have covered every stage that is involved in this, making sure you don't forget anything at all, because if you do, you will run into trouble. This is one process that we have always done in this class, and we are going to be doing it now. So using the example of what we have done before, let us count these stages now, and first of all, see how many stages we have here. This is stage 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, let's start again. From here is 1. Let's follow the arrow. 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 stages, isn't it? Are there not 10 stages?
There are.
Yeah.
Good. So there are 10 stages. Now, if there are 10 stages, everybody note that down. We have a question that says the diagram below shows the various stages involved in the production of beer. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. All right? So we need to paraphrase our statement. We need to paraphrase our statement. How do we paraphrase this statement? Now, the diagram below shows the various stages. The above illustration gives information about the different steps, okay, in the manufacturing of beer. I'm not going to wait for you to paraphrase it for me, because you will start looking for words now. But by the time we have finished discussing it and it's time for you to say it, you will now paraphrase it for us in your own words. Overall, there are about 10 stages in the manufacturing or in the making of beer, because I've used manufacturing before, so I'm going to use making now. I don't want to use the production, because the production is what the examiner has used. Beginning from the milling of malted barley to the packaging of the already made beer into drums and bottles and vans for dispatch to the consumers. Now, remember that we need to have a logical start point, isn't it? So this is our logical start point, where the malted barley is milled. That's our logical start point. And in this kind of this thing here, I'm going to count one. It should be 5, isn't it? 5 for each step, since there are 10. But if you have a look, you could see that there's a break here and there's a long gap in between this one. So I'm going to say that we should stop here. So we take from here like this as our first paragraph, then like this as our second body paragraph. Now, beginning from the malted barley to the stage where the beer is packaged into bottles and drums and lorries for transportation or for distribution or for transportation to the consumers and the stores. The first stage in this process is the milling of malted barley. After this, it proceeds for mashing, where water is added in a container. The mashed malted barley is then transferred for lautering, from which the spent grain is used for animal feed. Following this process, boiling takes place in a different container. While it is boiling, hops and sugar is added. The boiled barley is now transferred into a cylinder-like container for while pulling, then allowed to cool, full stop. Subsequently, the cooled beer or the cooled beer in process is transferred to a drum for fermenting. During this process, yeast is added liberally. See, they are adding plenty of yeast from here, from here. And from this, carbon dioxide is released. After fermenting, the fermented beer is transferred into another drum or into more drums for maturing. Then it is filtered and packaged into bottles and drums and then loaded in a truck for further transportation to the consumers. Who does not understand? Everybody understands. Who is this person? Let me see. Who is that? Everybody understands, right? Omolola, oh yeah,
Yes, sir.
explain your own.
Ah.
It's on the board. See it on the screen.
The above diagram gives the information about the different stages involved in the manufacturing of a beer. Overall, there are about 10 stages, beginning from the milling of the beer, to packaging into different bottles and drums, and finally taken by lorries to the different consumers. The first stage of the process begins with the milling of the malted barley, after which it is being meshed in a container after the addition of water, and then it is laundered and allowed to boil in a separate container. Subsequently, after the boiling, it is passed into another cylindrical container and sugar is being added. Thereafter, it is allowed to cool. Following this, fermentation is done in a separate container with the addition of yeast, and carbon dioxide is expelled out. Following this, it is passed into into separate containers for maturing and filtering, and then it is packaged into different bottles and drums, and is being transported by a lorry to the different consumers.
Clap for yourself.
Thank you, ma.
He's clapping. Okay, you have done a good job, but the thing is, I told you, you need to know what phrases to use in between. You use following this 4 times. After this, 5 times. So tell me, is it following this and after this alone that you know how to use? Eh?
No, ma. The way you call me.
He's laughing. Because I was counting it, Abby.
No, ma. You know,
When I was in school of nursing, we had a principal that one of us offended in the class, and the woman told her to go and write. Is it like I will never make noise in class again? To write it how many 1,500 times? And she wrote it. Later on, the principal brought back the paper to her and told her it is not complete. Which means that the woman sat down to count the words. She sat down to count it. So if somebody can count, is it 1,500 or 150? I can't remember. If the boy was enough words, if she sat down, an old woman that has plenty of work to do, she sat down to count. Don't think that I will not count the one you are saying. What 150 words that I will not count. I will count it though. So yes, those are the number of times you use those words and phrases. You need to be very careful, all right? So that you don't implicate yourself at the end of the day or make any mistakes. Okay?
Yes, ma.
Chinwe, it's your turn because the first network did not allow you to do a good job. So now maybe this one will allow you to talk.
Okay, ma.
Go ahead.
Yes, ma. The illustration beneath shows the different steps in manufacturing of beer. Overall, it starts with the milling of the malted barley to the packaging of the already made beer into bottles, drums, and finally into the truck for delivery.
Yeah. This your network is very wicked.
The milling of the malted barley with addition of water. Thereafter, there is lautering in another container with the spent grain used for animal feed. This is followed by boiling with sugar and hops added, after which there is while pulling in a different container, then it's allowed to cool. Full stop. Subsequently, there is fermentation in a different container with yeast added and carbon dioxide expelled, Then there is maturing, followed by filtering, then packaging in a bottle, a drum, and finally in a truck to be delivered to the consumers. I'm done, ma.
You try. Then, you need to improve, all right? The good thing
Okay,
is
ma.
that at least everybody is understanding gradually how the process will go, all right? That's the good thing about it. So, Uchenna, what you are going to do is to tell me how you are going to answer this question. You will tell me how you will structure it, from what stage to what stage will come in your paragraph 1, what will come in your paragraph 2, how you want to structure this work is what I want you to tell me. Then you should paraphrase only the question prompt for me.
Okay. If I'm to write this, I'll have to write it in 3 paragraphs.
Okay.
The first paragraph has to be my paraphrase of the question prompt with my overall statement. Then the second paragraph, that's the second body paragraph, will start from the point where the process starts to maybe at the midpoint. From this, I will say to the cooling point process. That's like the midpoint because of this special arrow there, from the fermentation to packaging and distribution or for consumption. Then the paraphrase of the question prompt, I will say the given pictures illustrate the different processes in the product
The network is bad. Welcome back.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead and talk, Uchenna.
Hello, ma.
I can
Hello?
hear you. Go
Yes,
ahead and
paraphrase, I
talk.
will say the steps. And the given pictures illustrate the different processes involved in the production of beer. Overall, there are about 10 stages, starting from the malted belly, milling of the malted belly, to the packaging and consumption of beer. That's all.
Well done. I like
Thank
that
you,
at
ma.
least you know what to do, right? You know what to do. So if you see this question now, you know how to answer this question, isn't it?
Yes, ma.
All right. With that said, we are not going to go back to process graph anymore, to any process task anymore. This was a repeat of last week's class. This is what we would have done last week before everything that happened. So yes, today we have been talking about the process task, the process graph, or the process diagram. We've been discussing writing task 1 all this while, and in writing task 1, you are expected to write a report in your own English, using your own words, in your own terms, with your own ideas. The good thing about writing task 1 is the fact that you have been given a clue where you will have a diagram. Either it could be a map or a floor map or a floor plan, it could be a line graph, a bar chart, a pie chart, okay? And then it could be a process like this. Irrespective of whatever it is, you are only expected to write based on what you have given to you. The structure of the writing task 1 is where you have 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph is a paraphrase of the question prompt and an overall statement. Then the second paragraph is the overview. Overview has 2 paragraphs, which is paragraphs 1 and 2 for the overview. We also call it body paragraph. Depending on what you have, what question type you have, if you have a question type like map and you have 2 maps, I'll advise that you write 1 map in 1 paragraph and the other in the next paragraph. But because we are discussing the process diagram today, in the discussion of a process diagram on your answer sheet, you are expected to have a logical start point, a logical midpoint, and an end point. You divide your diagram into 2 so that you have one part of it will take your first paragraph, that's the first body paragraph, which is your second paragraph, and the other part will become your third paragraph, which is your second body paragraph. That way, you maintain coherence, you maintain cohesion between your work, and it is easy for your examiner to understand the work that you're doing. Remember that we have what we call the band descriptors in place. There are 4 of them, and they are the ones that are used, that the things that your examiner is looking out for in your work so that they can score you and give you your required band. So we have task completion or task achievement or task response, then coherence and cohesion, grammatical range and accuracy, and lexical resource. These components are looking for different things. There are different items that are in this. Your work must not be less than 150 words. I said it should not be more than 180. Although they said 150, but it's better for you to be on the safe side. Write up to 160 and maximum 180. Ensure that you have obeyed grammar rules. Ensure that you have made good use of cohesive devices, all right? All your linking words. So when you are studying for any of the type of writing task 1, you need to know what linking words you can use between them. You need to know what vocabularies are specific to the kind of task that you're writing. And because this is a process diagram, we have identified certain sequencers, okay, that we are going to use. The phrases you will use to describe the first stage is different from what you use to describe the subsequent stages, okay? So we said you can start with the first stage is, it begins with, it commences with, and all of that. Then subsequently, consequently, as a result of, then followed by next to this step is. Now, when you have finished writing here, there's nothing like conclusion. You don't need to write a conclusion in writing task 1 because it's not writing task 2. Remember, they don't need your opinion, and you don't have to make any assumptions at all. So we have done 2 examples in this class, and I do hope that if you don't understand, you can go back to the video, watch it again, and try to understand exactly what we are talking about. If you've been watching us on YouTube, the major challenge that we have with people watching on YouTube is the fact that they will not sort the issues of their login and all that before time. You don't expect that we are teaching and at the same time we'll start responding to your questions of how do you log in. It's not going to work that way. It's not possible. If you are watching on YouTube and you want to join the class live, go to the Telegram group, open the pinned message, follow it. That's one way. Another way is when you open our YouTube videos, the links are on there. They are posted. Even today's own, I've seen the link. I've seen that somebody, Mr. Tunde, has posted this link under this topic that we're discussing today. Please go to the links, follow the instructions. Let us learn how to follow instructions. There's a video on there. Watch it, follow it, register. So that by the time it's time for class, you will just click. You won't be asking for password or passcode. There's no passcode in this class. And we have stopped sharing the link for this class to anyone from the Zoom, the Zoom link. You can watch it on YouTube. All right. So yes, with that said, I hope that you'll be able to find your way into the class and join us live the next time we have our classes again. There's Christmas holiday. This coming Saturday, there will be no class on Saturday. There will be no class on Saturday, this coming Saturday. So the classes will start again next week, the coming week. All right? I hope to see you. Have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy yourself. And while you are spending money for Christmas, remember that you need to keep money for your IELTS as well, so that you will not go and overspend and at the end you are looking for something. Meanwhile, I'm going to send 2 works to the Telegram group on this process diagram that we have discussed. 2 examples, 2 work for you to do so that you can use that one, okay? And while you wait time studying, then I need you to get Cambridge 15 and study it very well. Go through the writing task in Cambridge 15. Test 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go through the writing task on there. Do it. Keep writing. Buy jotter. Be writing. Just keep writing. It will help you. You will not understand. It will help you. So with that said, from me to you, I'd like to say Merry Christmas in advance. I'll see you again next year. Bye-bye. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Charlie, yes.
Thank you, ma. Bye.
Thank you, ma. Bye-bye.
Yes, I'll see you next year. Oh, Stephanie, you are just coming in. The class has ended. Oh, my God. Merry Christmas.
See you next